Hello and welcome to today's social media show. I'm delighted to be joined this week by Lidia from Visuable, a brand agency based in Bristol. Good morning, Lidia. How are you today?
Good morning, Jonathan. I'm very well. Thank you very much for inviting me here.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's great to have you on the show. Just to kick things off, I've had a number of guests on recently, and usually start off by getting them to say a few words about themselves. So if you don't mind giving a brief introduction for our viewers, that would be great.
Brilliant. Well, my name is Lidia. I'm the founder of Visuable, which is a branding agency and a brand expert, inspiring entrepreneurs all around the world to follow their passion, create a brilliant brand, and live their dream vision. And what this really means is that I mainly work with personal brands. We do have some businesses as well, but the biggest part of what we do is personal branding. So we help people such as yourself. You are actually one of our lovely clients. So we work with coaches, consultants, all sorts of experts, trainers, creatives, and thought leaders to help them really understand what their identity is about, who are their audience, and what is the product range that they are selling to this audience. Then we also work with our clients for a range of creative services. So those are brand photo shoots, brand designs to create all sorts of logos, colors and things like that. And then we also help them launch highly converting websites on Squarespace. Afterwards, as our clients are launched, we also help them through ongoing or all sorts of digital tools set up so that they can grow their brand online in the way that's best for them. I've been doing that for the last 4 years. So Visual has been going for 4 years, and so far it's been going from strength to strength. It's my real passion, what I do. So I just really feel like I really found my thing. I really found my sweet spot with what I do.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, and thanks for everybody for tuning in today. If you'd just like to tell us that you're there by giving us a thumbs up or saying hi, that would be brilliant. And of course, if you have any questions for Lidia or myself, please do feel free to post in the comments, whether you're watching live or watching the replay. Brand, you say you've been doing this for, or you've had Visuable for 4 years. Have you been a brand expert for longer than that?
Well, actually, no. So it's a funny story, really, and it's actually why I believe in what I'm doing so much. So in 2011, I graduated from a media practice degree. It was all about photography and design skills, and I was really excited about being in Bristol, and I really wanted to get a job in one of the very many creative agencies that are here. Little did I know that in order to get a job in such an agency, you actually have to have work experience, which obviously as a young graduate, I didn't have. So I spent couple of years actually figuring out what to do and kind of trying my luck on a lot of different things. This is how I got into freelance photography. Then I've worked for some time at the family studio. After that, I've set up my own wedding photography. So I've been really kind of going around, I would say. And everything that I was doing, I was always really passionate about the creative side of things, but somehow it wasn't really quite the thing that I needed to do. And I think after 2 or 3 years of trying out different things, I've realized that I really love creating businesses, and I really love this initial process of figuring out the business idea and who is it for and what is the service range and bringing it to the market in a really beautiful way. It's just the business ideas that I was launching were not really exactly the ones that I was passionate about. And then I was briefly working for a networking organization, helping female entrepreneurs with essentially growing their businesses. And that's where I got to go to a lot of networking events, a lot of festivals, a lot of conferences, and I really started to kind of get into the business community, meeting a lot of people, and that's where I feel like I found myself. I started to be approached by female entrepreneurs, mainly personal brands, who were really complimenting the website that I had. So at the time, I've created a website about me. It was a personal brand website. I had very high quality photography. I positioned myself as somebody who can help you essentially convert more clients online. And everybody really loved my website, and they said, I want exactly the same thing for my business. So everybody who was approaching me were personal brands. And I started building those websites. And initially, I kind of thought about myself as a web designer and as a photographer and as a marketeer. So it's almost like I had a little bit of identity kind of confusion myself. But then as I was going through and as I was working on more and more projects, it became really apparent that what I'm actually doing is helping people to brand themselves and not actually brand their business, but mainly create a brand around their personality, around their expertise, around their credibility. And I was putting it together for them on a website that really showcased the accomplishments and really positioned them as an expert that everybody wanted to work with. And what was happening with these people, they actually, as we relaunched their websites, they were becoming more confident to market themselves. People started to look at them in a different way. So they just like been gaining this credibility. And that's where I actually started to dig deeper into the topic and learn more about branding. And I've actually figured out that what I'm actually doing is helping people with their personal brands. The photos and the websites and graphic designs were just tools to help them get there. But actually, it was so much deeper, kind of like, and meaningful for them. As they were going through the process, they were almost like going through a mindset transformation, and they were becoming that person. So for example, at the photo shoots that we do, sometimes I work with early stage businesses, and they haven't yet got clients. So it's almost like they feel like they have a bit of a imposter syndrome because they haven't really actually done the thing that they say that they do. So as we take them through that photo shoot process, I suggest to them to work with a stylist so that they can start to feel as this really accomplished business person. I suggest to them that they bring a pretended client to the session, and we almost like we perform that coaching session, and it's the first time for them. So just going through that process, they going through that mental leap of becoming that person, and then as the photos arrive and as they see themselves as this person, it's almost like they get that visual what's the word? I can't really think of the
visual
word.
Clues, or
confirmation that they are actually the person that they wanted to be. So it's almost like when they're starting with us, it's just a vision and it's just an idea, and they don't really know how, they don't really know how to get there. And through the mentorship, they starting to realize who they are and, like how their skills can be applied in the real world through services and through audiences that need those products. And then we almost like build that identity for them, and then we help them launch. And then they go off and become really successful, which is my favorite part, because that's actually really, like is the mission behind my business, to help people become more successful through the process of branding transformation that we take them through.
That's brilliant. That's a very interesting story. So basically, you kind of like solved, when you finished your degree, you sort of solved the problem of getting experience by creating your own experience, and then your current role has sort of like come from that naturally, because all those things, all those experience things that you were doing put together, that's kind of a brand, isn't it? I mean, just sort of focusing on what a brand is, I think a lot of small business people and possibly some of our viewers there will be a bit confused about that. And personally, I think looking at sort of forums and going to business network meetings, people still, they underestimate the importance of brand. Would you agree with that? And how would you actually sort of define brand yourself?
That's a very good question. I agree that there's a lot of confusion around brand. What is brand? What is branding? And what are all the elements that you actually need to put together? I think the kind of simplest definition that I could explain it through is your brand is a sum of all the elements that come together to create an experience of you, either online or offline. So just like Jeff Bezos said, your brand is what people think about you when you're not in the room. So if you just think about it for a second, if people have seen you online through your website or through your social media curated experience, they will get an impression of you. And this could be a good impression, a bad impression, or it could be a medium impression, but there will be some sort of impression. So everybody has a brand, but some people have a brand by design, for example, like me. So like I curate the experience and the things that I want people to know about me. And some people have a brand by default, which is they just post random things online without really thinking what, like what their audience will think about them.
They just go about their business and let the brand take care of itself, sort of thing.
Exactly. And, without actually spending some time reflecting and thinking about, like how you want to be seen, who you want to become, what is that bigger vision of you, and like how you want people to kind of experience you, then, like your brand is not very strong. It's just a random kind of combination of things. But if you spend a little bit of time thinking, strategically of how, how everything that I share online on social media, or how everything
is a reflection of you,
is a reflection of me. How I can strategically put together, like an impression of me that will help me get where I want to be faster. So this is exactly what we help our clients with. We really help them, think about it before they actually put it out there.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And you used a couple of expressions there, like helping clients who they want to become, and strategic, and looking to the future. And I certainly felt that when I went through the process. In fact, I was sort of surprised by how much detail you kind of like wanted from me as a client. It was actually quite hard work in a way, but positive in the sense that it made me think about things that I hadn't really thought about so much. And I think even possibly branding people out there, they're more concerned with the present, would you say? Whereas you're concerned with the future and sort of taking people to where they want to go, or helping them get to where they want to go.
Well, yeah, exactly. So I actually always tell my clients that we are not going to brand them for who they are today. We are going to brand them for who they want to become. And with the process that I've taken you through, and this is the process that everybody goes through. So I call it define your brand, and it's all about your identity, your target audience, and your product range. And funny that you say, like a lot of detail that I wanted from you. So like the process is actually designed to help you as much as it is designed to help you.
Yeah.
So it's almost like before you even coming to that first consultation with me, you have already gained value from working with us. So I spent quite a lot of time honing this questionnaire. Obviously, in my very early days when I, still didn't know exactly what I was doing, this questionnaire wasn't that extensive. But as I progressed through my journey, and as I learned more about business and about marketing and about branding and about everything really, then I've been honing that process more and more. And now my clients report that it's really helpful it helps them to see a clear vision, it gives them clarity, and it gives them real focus. It helps them to just get rid of the things that they don't really, want to be doing. It helps them reflect on, like things that are not working in their business, and just kind of like move forward in a much more focused and concise way, so that then as we create that reflection, so obviously for us, the way the process works for us, and me and my team have access to your questionnaire, so we are able to read through it, and in that way all of us can really understand what we need to create for you. So like for us, it's easier when it comes to kind of communication, because you've given all of us the information, but we are also able to translate it better into your digital communications. But then, as I said, the benefit is twofold, because you get the benefit of, sitting down, slowing down, and really reflecting on where you want to go. And hopefully you are then moving with a much clearer vision for your brand as you help you launch.
That's really interesting. And I hope this is sort of helpful for people that are watching, because as I said before, I think there's kind of like a bit of a sense from some people that brand, oh, well, that's kind of like a logo. and that's it. But what you're saying is that it's both at the core of it's really at the core of your business and also the core of your future business. And when it comes to business, what could be more important than that? So it's absolutely vital, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, like what people usually think is a brand is, like the logo, colors, recently photos, but this is not a brand. Those are brand assets that help you communicate your brand. So if you haven't spent time thinking what is that brand, what is that impression that you want to give, then we might actually create wrong assets for you. Like you told us who you work with, and then we selected colors and design style and created it in a way that's appealing for your audience. So, like whenever we work with a client, we then do a little bit of research online and we see how, like what sort of brands,
what their existing brand is. Yeah,
what are the existing brands, and like what sort of visual appeal we need to create, and like we draw on color psychology and things like that, so that we help our clients appeal to their audience. So let me actually give you an example.
Please do. Yeah.
For example, so we were working with two fitness brands. One of them called Moms Get Fit. And this is obviously a brand that should be appealing to moms. And it's a brand that we created in a color theme with pinks and grays. And then we worked with other fitness brand with a younger girl, younger fitness instructor, and she also wanted the same colors, pink and gray. So somebody would have thought, this is exactly the same brand, and like how those two brands can be identical in colors. Like do all fitness brands need to be pink, and like do all kind of like how two brands can appeal to two different audiences even though they're the same. But like for what we did, we differentiated them through images. So the fitness brand for moms, the owner of this brand had pictures of herself with her family and with her children, doing fitness, doing physical exercise. And the other person with, exactly the same colors, she was a bit younger. Her target audience are kind of younger girls who want to get fit. So we created images of her, representing them as an aspirational figure for her target clients. So one is, if somebody wants to look it up, I can post the links somewhere later, but one is called Moms Get Fit and another one is called Health Means Happiness. So you can go on those two websites and have a look how we curated the experience through images for different target audiences. So even though some people might be kind of into the same colors, we'll curate it completely different, because the colors, what we find with personal brands specifically, people like to choose their colors based on what they personally like rather than what their audience wants for them. So I want the colors that reflect them, so which is different than, for example, corporate branding, because in corporate branding you don't have photos that that represent who you are and tell that story visually. So you have to work with colors differently. You really have to draw on the color psychology in a way that communicates emotions and feelings through the colors that you select. For example, all the eco brands, they usually use green because green is associated with
nature and environment.
Exactly.
Cool. Just had a comment from Richard Keane, which I put up on the screen. Read it out for you. Brand is an overall experience of a customer that distinguishes an organization or product from its rivals in the eyes of the customer. Would you agree with that?
Exactly. This is exactly This is exactly what I've been talking about. So it's everything that comes together. So obviously for personal brands, the biggest thing right now are photos, because photos can really help them create an impression of who they are and how they go about their daily business. But those are things like logos, colors. For bigger brands, those could be things like sounds, staff uniforms, the way you pick up the phone, like your brand voice.
It's all part of it, yeah.
It's all part of it. So, like everything you do create an impression. It's quite scary, but at the same time, I like to flip it around and say it's brilliant because you have a full control over it. And if you go about it in a strategic way, you can really create a brand that will work really well for you.
Cool. Thanks for thanks for that. Just like touching on which you have done a little bit, social media. So expanding on that a little bit more. How important do you think social media is in reflecting a person or a company's brand?
So I think it's really important to curate your social media experience because yeah, some people don't really understand the power of a brand. So again, we could be looking at personal branding for small businesses and the individuals like yourself. There's a different strategy that you have to use if you kind of communicating organization online. And there is also a kind of big boom now with personal branding within recruitment. So, as an individual, not a business owner.
What, to get a job, do you mean? Or
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This is exactly how kind of like my brand started. Like I started my brand when I was looking for a job, but instead of kind of creating a brand strong enough to get a job, I created a brand strong enough that people wanted to work with me directly, omitting completely the organization. And going back to social media, I think it's just such a powerful tool to help you get out there. Everybody, like if you think about it, like everybody from anywhere in the world, just if you have an internet connection, you can start a business and use social media to find your audience and to promote your business online and make sales. Like you actually don't need an organization, the middleman. So it's exactly what happened with me. I created a brand around myself. I created personal brand website, and then what I did, I went on LinkedIn and I started connecting with people, and I started getting those inquiries from people who wanted to work with me on something similar that I created for myself.
Yeah, well, that's how it worked for me. That's mainly your LinkedIn activity was how I found out about you. So yeah, it works for sure.
Social media definitely works. There's a lot of people, that say social media doesn't work, but I think they're just not doing it properly. Because if you don't have a strong message, if you haven't figured out what is the value that you offer to your audience, and if you don't actually have the marketing skills, like the understanding of the buyer psychology, then yes, social media doesn't work. But because social media, it's not going to create you leads or sales or something like that. You have to do it by yourself. You have to use social media strategically to do it. So that's why I think it's important to work with people like you who are perfectly trained with curating the experiences and also teaching people social media skills and technical skills so they can go out and get those clients. But there is a lot of people that think that like social media, I just need to be on all social media. I have to be on all the channels.
That's right. Yeah.
And then how, like the more channels I'm going to be on, the more, the more clients I will drive my way. But actually the opposite is true because, for example, we used to do LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and Google. And to be honest, right now I haven't deleted it, but I'm not using. I stopped using Twitter. I stopped using Google Plus. I'm mainly focusing on LinkedIn for actually driving engagement and getting conversation going with business people.
Yeah.
I'm on Facebook, but mainly on groups because at the moment groups are bigger than Facebook pages, and I'm on Instagram. And those three platforms drive so much more for me than being on 6 and actually doing a bit of everything and
not so well. Yeah,
because I mean you have to do so much that it's almost like it's too difficult to keep up. Who's got time to be on so many platforms? So for me, my advice would be get really clear on what is the message, get some really high quality images and really nice design style so that you look the part, and then get trained with somebody like you with social media skills. Focus on 2 platforms, maximum 3 platforms, and do them really, really well. And that's when, magic happens, and that's when you can actually get clients and grow your business.
You mentioned images and photos a bit there. What about video?
So video is actually becoming really huge right now. I have to admit that I wasn't a big fan of video up until very recently. I only just started doing a bit more on podcasts and Facebook Lives and things like that. And I actually have to admit that I see a lot of benefit in doing that. So ever since I started, it helps my credibility because I'm adding another dimension. So before, obviously, I would position myself visually through photos, and then I would write captions that allow people to get an insight into my expertise. But video just adds this another dimension to your credibility. You can be interviewed on a podcast such as this one, and then you can kind of like get exposure to a completely new audience. Mm-hmm. So this is one of the latest strategies right now. There is a lot of people starting podcasts, and it's almost like kind of interviewing each other to grow each other audiences. I think it's really powerful, and I think it's really brilliant. But like, what do you have to say about it? I feel like I'm answering, like in your area of expertise. How about you say something about video?
Yeah, I think it's really, really important. There are just so many different ways that you can get involved now. As you say, there's the live side of it, there's the recorded side of it, and there's new and up and coming channels like IGTV, which I think it's a bit slow at the moment, Instagram TV, but I think it's going to be very big when it finally sort of takes off. And then of course you've got stories on Instagram as well. I would say if somebody wants to maybe get into video, starting off with Instagram stories, it's probably quite a good idea because it's a bit more casual, a bit more informal. People will be a bit more forgiving of mistakes, and you just basically need one of these to do it. So you don't need the whole sort of studio setup and equipment. So I would say try Instagram stories. It's just, I suppose the difference between video and photos is that you've just got that. It's just that extra dynamic because you've got the movement there, and you've got the ability to capture people at their work, or to capture people explaining how their product or their service works and that sort of thing, as well as interviews like this. So yeah, I guess it's just more dynamic. You can't say one is better than the other. It's just video and photos. It's just it's a different medium, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. So I actually really love Instagram stories, and the way I use them, I actually combine all the different mediums. So I will use apps that will allow me to insert my video and then write a caption underneath it, or combine a few pictures and then put some captions on it. Then I will upload it for an Insta story. I would add some GIFs to add movement. Obviously, I will add some hashtags. I'll add some geotags. So I really experiment with lots of different things, and I feel like with Insta stories, you really kind of have to find your style. Because, like if you're not liking video, then there is no point to you doing the video. If you love video but don't like photos, then go and do the video, because again, Instagram stories is just a channel for you to get to your audience. So if you're really good at public speaking, then video will be great for you. If you're not so confident at public speaking, and if you would rather try it out without that added,
then they can use photos and GIFs and emojis and stuff.
Exactly, you can use all these things to create stories that you can still share. But I think what I'm seeing, the combination of all the different mediums is what's working really well at the moment, and you can do them on the fly. And what I've noticed, actually, they have way more reach at the moment than the normal feed. Mm-hmm. So I would encourage anyone and everyone to do stories. I feel like I'm not doing enough because I'm always so busy. I'm always in a consultation, or I'm always wandering around.
There's that pressure to constantly, I kind of like use the expression, feed the story, isn't there? Because you kind of got to be sort of on it all the time if possible. But it is hard. I agree. Got a good question on stories from Judy Simcock here. What app do you use for adding different mediums to Instagram stories? Do you want to pick that one up?
What do I use?
I mean, you can use a lot of the inbuilt tools. I mean, there's plenty built in there in terms of the sticker tray and what you can find in there.
One app that I'm using that is really good is called Unfold. And that's the app that allows you to just like create a story using videos and photos and like all the different things, and then you can expand exported as a selection of kind of individual files that you can upload it to Instagram. So I find that because I'm a designer and I like things to look more, and I find that the kind of typography style in Instagram kind of stories feature is not that advanced yet. I prefer to use this other app so that I get like better visual look and more consistent look.
Okay.
But that's just me. The you know, like the normal Insta stories work just fine. But if you want a kind of added bonus of really great design, then Unfold is a really great app that you can get for free.
Great, and we'll put the link to that and those clients that you mentioned in the comments as well later. Another one I would add, which is sort of there are a few sort of template ones out there where you can pick up templates, is Canva, that they do templates for Instagram stories. But thanks for that question, Judy. I think it's probably time just to wrap up and see if anybody else has got any questions for us. So that would be brilliant. If you have, just please post them in the comments. But while you're maybe thinking of a question, I've got a tough one for you, Lidia. So see if you can do this one. Right, which is, I want just a one-word answer here, but then you can explain it. Which is more important, website or social media?
Undecided.
I thought you might sit on the fence on that. Was a difficult question.
I think it's unfair to put those two in one box.
I know it's a difficult question, yeah.
Because they are part of a longer strategy. So social media is a way to drive traffic to the website. So a lot of people would be on social media and they would be spending all day chatting, but actually they wouldn't be driving people to the website. But I actually feel it's important to use both together. So essentially you can use social media to share your blogs that you have on your website, and that way you can increase traffic to your website. You can network in all sorts of groups. You can share your promotions that also sit on landing pages within your website. You can have lead magnets on your website that you can share into social media to get subscribers. So actually, you know, like for me, your website is almost like the house for your brand. It's a really great way for people to arrive and see everything, like get a very good idea about who you are and what you do, and you know, like get a snippet about your services and get kind of a way to contact you. But social media is totally, you know, like the best way to actually get people to that website, because before, you know, without social media, there will be not many people visiting your website unless you invest in a strategy like blogging and SEO, and then you optimize your website and you create content consistently on your website and people are finding you through Google. But in today's world, it's so much competition that actually for a quick win, I would say, you know, like where you would be starting, I would totally be starting on social media, and then as a longer digital strategy, I would be working on my blog, on optimizing the blogs, and then sending people to the website that way.
Cool. Elliot Richmond says website, and guess what? He's a website builder. So but he's made a good point here, which I would agree with actually. A website is your hub. You can't really efficiently use social media without having a web presence. Yeah, I mean that's kind of endorsing what you were saying there. Yeah. So it all links up for the bigger picture. And Richard just wanted to know what that app was. It's Unfold, isn't it? I'm not sure what the web address is, but yeah, we'll post the link in the comments.
I just downloaded it from App Store, so just like Apple App Store, just type Unfold. I'm sure it's probably on all the other Google stores and the other stores that I actually don't know about. Sorry, I'm just such an Apple person.
oh dear, I'm the other side of the fence, but never mind. It's still been great to have you on. So thank you very much. That's been brilliant. If anybody does have any more questions at all about brand or social media, then just please post in the comments. That's it for this week, and thank you for watching. See you again next Monday. Bye everyone. Thanks Lydia. Cheers.
Thanks so much for having me.
Bye. Welcome.